That new mattress smell isn't freshness. It's benzene, toluene, and formaldehyde coming out of foam that spent weeks compressed inside plastic with nowhere to vent. The moment you cut that wrapping open, you release all of it at once into a room where you're about to spend 8 hours breathing. 7 steps clear it in 72 hours. And one thing most people reach for makes it measurably worse. It's the device sold specifically to fix this problem, and I'll get to it. The word for this is off-gassing. The EPA defines volatile organic compounds, VOCs, as organic chemicals with high vapor pressure at ordinary room temperature, which in plain terms means certain solids slowly release gas into the air just by existing. No heat, no trigger. They just leak. Your mattress is one of those solids, and it's not one material doing it. It's polyurethane foam, synthetic latex, adhesives, flame retardant treatments, and fabric coatings, and every one of those emits. Now here's why bed-in-a-box specifically reeks. A traditional mattress leaves the factory, sits in a warehouse, sits on a showroom floor, and off-gasses quietly the entire time. By the time you sleep on it, months of emissions have already vented into rooms you never stood in. A boxed mattress gets compressed to 1/3 of its size, vacuum sealed, and shipped in a roll. Every gas that would have escaped is held against the foam under pressure with nowhere to go. You're not smelling something that started when you opened it. You're smelling everything that's been accumulating since the factory floor, released in one burst. Same chemistry, completely different delivery. Quick one before we go further. If your mattress smelled bad enough that you actually went looking for this video, tell me the brand in the comments. I'm building a list of which ones off-gas worst, and I can't test every bed on the market. You can, let me give you the honest version of this before the alarming version, because most videos on this topic do it the other way around, and it distorts everything that follows. For a healthy adult sleeping on a certified mattress, the levels involved are low. Certipur US certified foams are tested to emit no more than 0.5 part per million of VOC. Mainstream testing outlets and consumer reports both land in roughly the same place. The smell is unpleasant, the side effects are uncommon, and they're mostly limited to people who are already sensitive. So, nobody needs to panic about a certified foam bed in a ventilated room. That said, the compounds are real. Independent testing has found benzene, toluene, formaldehyde, and methylene chloride in mattress emissions. Formaldehyde is classified as a known human carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer. The CDC notes that high concentrations of VOCs can cause headaches, dizziness, nausea, and eye and respiratory irritation. The word doing the work there is concentrations. A sealed bedroom with a freshly unboxed mattress and the windows shut is the highest concentration that mattress will ever produce. That's the situation this video exists to fix, and it's fixable in a weekend. 3 groups should take it more seriously than everyone else. People with chemical sensitivities or asthma, pregnant people, and infants. A 2025 CNN report highlighted conventional crib mattresses as one of the largest sources of environmental chemical exposure for babies, with even inexpensive models emitting dozens of compounds, regardless of what the label claims. Body heat and body weight accelerate the release, which is exactly what a sleeping baby provides for 16 hours a day. If you're in one of those 3 groups and you're having symptoms, talk to a doctor rather than working through a checklist from a video. I can tell you how to clear a room. I can't tell you what your body is reacting to. There's a second thing in your mattress, and the interesting part isn't the chemical, it's the paperwork. Since July 1st, 2007, every mattress sold in the United States has to pass a federal open flame standard. 2 propane burners, one on top for 70 seconds, one against the side for 50. Then the mattress gets monitored for 30 minutes while testers measure how much heat it puts out. Peak heat release has to stay under 200 kilowatts. That's a good standard. Mattress fires kill people, and this rule saves lives. Here's the gap. Manufacturers have to hit the target. They have never been required to tell you how. So the chemistry used to get there is a trade secret, and historically, some of it has been genuinely bad. Flame retardants linked to cancer, infertility, and developmental effects. Before 2004, polybrominated diphenyl ethers, PBDES, were in memory foam widely despite their known toxicity. They've since been phased out. They were replaced by other treatments, and you can't look up what those are either, because the disclosure requirement still doesn't exist. And while we're here, added fragrance. A lot of mattresses contain it. It's a blend that doesn't have to be itemized, and its entire job is to cover the smell of production. So the bed that smells pleasant isn't necessarily cleaner. Sometimes it's one undisclosed mixture masking another, which is the argument for the whole protocol coming up. You can't audit what's in there. You can control how much of it ends up in your air. 7 steps. The first 3 matter more than the rest combined. 1. Unbox in the morning and evacuate the air. Emissions peak in the first hours after you cut the plastic, so you want that peak happening while you still have a full day of daylight to ventilate, not at 9 at night with the first sleep 6 hours away. Open every window in the room. Open the door too, so the room isn't a sealed box. Then put a fan in the window pointing outward. That distinction matters more than people expect. A fan pointed at the mattress moves contaminated air around the room. A fan pointed out the window removes it from the house. 2. Leave it bare. Do not make the bed. Sheets, a mattress protector, a comforter, anything you put on top traps the emissions against the surface and slows the entire process down. It's the most common mistake, and it costs you a full day. 3. Activated charcoal. This one does the actual chemical work. Activated charcoal is riddled with microscopic pores that trap odor molecules through adsorption. Molecules bond to the surface rather than being absorbed into it. Put charcoal packets or a shallow tray of activated charcoal on and around the mattress and leave it 24 hours. Number 4. Baking soda, for what it's actually good at. Sprinkle it across the surface, leave it a day, vacuum it thoroughly. Be clear on what this does though. Baking soda neutralizes odor, particularly acidic odor. It is not scrubbing VOCs out of your air the way charcoal does. It makes the room smell better. That's worth doing. It's just not the same job. 5. Work the foam. Memory foam is essentially a dense sponge holding gas in its cells. Pressing firmly across the whole surface with your hands, section by section, squeezes trapped gas out faster than waiting for it to migrate on its own. You'll see people recommend walking on it. I'd use your hands. Walking on an uncompressed new mattress can damage the comfort layer, and structural damage from misuse is exactly the kind of thing a warranty claim gets denied over. 15 minutes of hand pressure gets you the same result with none of the risk. 6. Sunlight with a caveat. Heat accelerates off-gassing, so a few hours outdoors in direct sun genuinely speeds things up. The caveat is that prolonged UV exposure degrades and yellows polyurethane foam, and yellowing is one of the visible signs manufacturers cite when rejecting a claim. So, a few hours if you have the space and the weather, not a full day and not repeatedly. 7. Air purifiers and the mistake. If you're running a purifier, check that it has an activated carbon filter and not just HEPA. HEPA captures particles down to 0.3 of a micron. VOC molecules are orders of magnitude smaller than that. A HEPA filter physically cannot catch them. Only carbon adsorption pulls gaseous compounds out of air, and plenty of purifiers marketed for odor have no carbon stage at all. Which brings me to what I promised you at the start. Do not use an ozone generator. They're sold specifically for this: chemical smells, smoke damage, new furniture, and ozone is genuinely reactive. So people run one, come back to a room that smells different, and conclude it worked. Here's what actually happened. Ozone doesn't remove polyurethane VOCs. It reacts with them, and those reactions produce secondary compounds, aldehydes, formaldehyde among them. You started with a chemical you could smell, and you finished with chemicals you can't, some of which are more harmful than what you began with. The room smells cleaner because the marker compound got consumed. That's not the same as the air being cleaner. This is the single most counterproductive thing you can do to a new mattress. It's the one solution actively marketed for the problem, and it's why the boring answer, open a window and point a fan out of it, is still the right one. And if that one just saved you from buying an ozone machine, that's what this channel does. I read the fine print nobody else bothers with. Subscribe and I'll keep doing it. Run the protocol and most noticeable odor is gone in 24 to 72 hours. Traces can hang on 3 to 7 days depending on materials. Memory foam takes longest. Hybrids and inner springs contain less foam and clear faster with less intensity to begin with. But here's the part that doesn't make it into the marketing. Off-gassing doesn't stop after the first week. Materials keep releasing VOCs at low levels for months, sometimes years. The intense smell fades fast. That's just the volatile fraction leaving first. The process underneath is ongoing and odorless, which means you cannot use your nose to tell you when it's finished. That's not a reason for alarm. It's a reason to think about your bedroom as an environment rather than an event. Ventilation isn't a 3-day task. It's how you should be running the room you spend a third of your life in. Next mattress. Buy the certification instead of the cleanup. Certi Puras is the floor for any foam bed. Cheap to comply with, universal enough that its app since tells you something. Green Guard. Gold is the real one. Testing for over 360 individual compounds against emission limits rather than just ingredient bans. For organic, you want goals on the latex and GOTS on the textiles. Brands like Avocado, Naturepedic, and Plush Beds carry these and use wool as a natural flame barrier instead of chemical treatment, which solves the disclosure problem from earlier, since wool doesn't have undisclosed chemistry. Fair warning, those beds run 4 to 10 times the price of a budget mattress. If that's not your budget, Green Guard Gold certification appears on plenty of mid-priced foam beds, and that's where the real value sits. And treat green marketing with suspicion. Most soy-based biofoam is roughly 5% soy and 95% standard polyurethane. The soy is in the name because the name sells. If a company can't tell you plainly what's in the mattress, you already have your answer. Next video, I'm going after mattress warranties, specifically the clauses that void them, because most people break theirs inside the first month without ever knowing they did it. That one's worth a subscribe. You can't read the ingredient list on a mattress. That's not an accident, and it isn't going to change. What you can control is whether the first night's worth of it ends up in your lungs or out the window. Open the window, point the fan out, skip the ozone machine.